and she's blonde again. So now that we got that out of the way, today we have a very big video because I have two major updates about my Chanel customer service experiences. I have two different bags with two very different issues and two very different experiences. So sometimes I tend to speak slow, but there are a lot of important details, so please don't skip this video, just play it on 2x and so that you wouldn't miss anything important. So let's start. And I think we should start with the yellow mini rectangular flap with the top handle. That is such a mouthful every single time. So from now on, I'll just refer to it as my yellow mini top handle bag. Even that is still a lot. But anyway, so some of you may remember this bag, what happened to it, but basically, I will tell you the story very, very short. In the very middle of the bag, there is a stain. And what happened was that I was traveling with this bag. I went to, in the airport, I went to a nice, beautiful, clean, spacious bathroom. I carried this bag as a top handle bag on my back, as a crossbody bag on my back, so that, you know, when I was washing hands, nothing would get on this bag. But there were like two more women inside of the bathroom, and I think that one of them may have sprayed some water on the bag, you know, after drying their hands. And so it left a water stain just right in the very middle of the bag, and it didn't disappear for days, because at first I thought, because you know, this wasn't the first time that I have gotten water on a lambskin leather bag, so I thought that it's just going to go away, but it didn't. And all of the internet told me that you should use a leather conditioner. So I did that, and I made things worse. Then I finally did the smart thing and contacted my SA at Chanel. I told her what happened, and she told me that there is nothing that they can do, as at that moment, even though I believe, so this was in the beginning of 2022, and I believe it was the very beginning of when they had started the Chanel and Moi bag repair service. But that service at the time only applied for classic flaps. So it didn't apply for these bags, which is why she told me that there is nothing that they can do, which was obviously very disappointing, but you know. But at the same time, one of the other SAs actually told me that eventually they will have a repair service for this bag style as well. So he told me that, you know, just wait it out. And so that's exactly what I did, because look at this bag. Like, it is absolutely beautiful, you know. It's such a beautiful, like, firstly, the style of the bag is perfect. I love the top handle, I love the size, like, I love everything about this bag. So I thought, since I have spent all the money on this bag already, I may as well wait. And sometimes I actually even used it with the stain. It bothers me a little bit, but you know, like, it is not as horrible. So I waited, and then in the end of 2024, my usual SA actually told me that now they do accept this bag style for the Chanel and Moi repair service. So I got very excited, and I think it was just before Christmas, so I brought the bag in. Then I didn't hear from them for something like 3 weeks, I think it was, but you know, it's Christmas, it's New Year, so I wasn't expecting something on the 2nd of January, like an update or whatever. So I just kept waiting. And then they, like, the customer service representative of my local boutique. So I just want to be clear, that was not my SA that contacted me. They have a separate person that is responsible for all the repairs. And so that person gave me a call about this bag. And she told me basically that this particular style actually is not included in the Chanel and Moi program. So this bag without the top handle can be repaired now. However, with the top handle, it is not in the program, which is why they will not repair it. So that was the first shock. And then the second shock was that she told me that even if it was included in the program, they would not try to repair it anyway, because since the leather is already damaged, they are scared to damage the leather further. And honestly, I expected something like this. I knew that it was not going to be easy. I knew that there was going to be some resistance. I knew that they're not just going to take this bag in and repair it free of charge for me, especially because, you know, it was my fault that it got damaged. But what was not really my fault and what I did not expect was that, of course, this bag was excluded from the Chanel et Moi program in the first place. And then, of course, the fact that in the very first place, how this whole thing started was because of a drop of water. So it's kind of crazy to me that a bag can get permanently damaged from a drop of water. And so that's exactly what I told her. Like, how is it possible that, a drop of water can just leave a stain on the bag? And she tried to tell me, like, it happens with all the lambskin bags. It's something that can be expected. And maybe some people could believe that. But the thing is that I have had other light colored lambskin leather bags. And I can tell you, always, it is always the same thing. At first, it's like a little mark from water, and then it fades away. And with this bag, it was not the case. So there is something else that is wrong with this bag. Like the leather is faulty, or I don't know, the dye process that they used on this bag is, it is not effective because it is not normal, okay, for water to leave such a mark. So we went a little bit back and forth. I tried to tell her that, this is not normal, and she tried to tell me that it is normal. And in the end, she agreed to send this bag to Paris for quality control to see if there actually was something wrong with the leather. And now, what was weird about this whole situation was that after we finished the conversation, because I'll tell you later about what happened with the other bag, but basically, I received an email that the other bag got sent to Paris. However, I did not receive any emails about this bag being sent to Paris. So that was kind of a red flag because, like, why would they send just one bag if they already have both of my bags at the boutique? So I found it a little bit weird, but I thought, maybe, I don't know, maybe the email got lost or something. And fine. And then 1 week later, I heard back from the customer service representative, and she told me that basically there is nothing that they can do because the leather is damaged from the leather conditioner, and therefore they don't want to risk further damaging the bag. And so, my question here is though, did they even send it to Paris? I somehow doubt that they managed in that week, in the duration of that week, that they sent it to Paris, and in Paris they examined this bag. They decided that actually this leather is not faulty, and then they managed to send it back to Barcelona, and she managed to already contact me within that one single week. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that they ever tried to send it to Paris. I think that she just waited this 1 week to just tell me, like, yeah, there is nothing that they can do. So this is what I'm stuck with. Honestly, I don't think that they will ever repair it because, yeah, the leather, it is a little bit rough around the part of the stain. It is not very visible. I feel like if they just repainted it, honestly, for me, I just wanted it to be one single color. I didn't want for the stain to be as visible as it is. I don't care that the leather feels a little bit more rough in this area. All I care about is that it's one single color. They even could have told me, like, we're going to paint it black for you. And it would have been good enough, because it's better than a bag with a stain. But they didn't. They didn't offer anything to me, and so I just went and picked up the bag. So from the experience with this bag, all I got was a lesson to never ever tamper with water stains myself. I feel like if I had just left it alone, maybe over the years actually it would have faded. Maybe they would have taken some accountability for it if it really was just water. But now I guess we'll never know. So, guys, if you ever get a water stain on your bags, don't do anything. Even if you don't have a local boutique, just wait until you're going to go on holiday and then bring it to Chanel, because I feel like then the likeliness of them actually helping you is much higher. So, don't touch it, okay? They are way too expensive for us to ruin them with leather conditioners or whatever else Google or ChatGPT is going to recommend to us, like just don't touch it. Do not touch it. And now moving on to bag number two, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit to see this one because this one actually got a solution. But before I can show it to you, I have to tell you the whole story because it was a little bit of a journey. So let's start at the beginning. And the beginning is that basically my husband got me my dream Chanel bag for our very first wedding anniversary, which was the white small Chanel classic flap. And it was one of the two dream bags that I thought I would never have. And the other one was a black Birkin. It is somewhere up there. So a black Birkin and a white Chanel classic flap, those were my like ultimate holy grail bags that I had always wanted to have. And so, yeah, I was very sad that I wasn't able to get it for our wedding because, the pandemic and all of that. So there wasn't really that much like travel opportunities to go and buy a Chanel bag at the time, and everything was uncertain. So I digress. Anyway, so I got lambskin white Chanel small classic flap, and I was very happy with it. I had no issues with that bag. It felt so luxurious. The leather was so soft and so beautiful and so puffy. It was really an absolute dream, that bag. And for the first few years, everything was fine. The color looked absolutely fine. But then towards the end of last year, I noticed that the color on the outside of the bag had become completely different than on the inside of the bag. So you could see that clearly it had yellowed. So the outside was, it had like this yellow tint. I'm going to insert some pictures, some videos that I had taken before. And the inside was still perfectly white, which was very weird because I keep all of my bags outside of the light, and my most delicate bags, I keep them in their dust bags. And because, of course, I knew that there's a risk of the classic flap in white to yellow, I always kept it in its dust bag. So I don't know how and why and when exactly this yellowing process happened, but it happened. So when my SA told me that I can take my yellow mini flap for repair, I thought that it would be a great chance to also take the white small Chanel Classic flap to see if maybe there is something that they can do. And so I brought them in at the same time. And then when I got the disappointing call about the yellow mini bag, I also got a very disappointing call about the small white Chanel Classic flap because the story was pretty much the same, except maybe even worse, because basically they told me that they cannot do anything about the white Chanel Classic flap because the condition of the bag is too good. Yes, you did not hear me wrong. So basically, they have, how she explained it to me, they only repair in the Chanel and Moi program, they only repair classic flaps something like twice during their lifetimes. And because my bag didn't have any scuff marks, any corner wear, any scratches, like it was in a perfect condition, except for, of course, that the color was now completely different. Other than that, it was in an absolutely perfect condition. Like even the essays at the boutique, they were amazed at how great the bag looked, which made it even more confusing of why and how it yellowed, because clearly you can see that I have taken very good care of it. And so that's exactly what once again, not my SA, but the customer service representative, the repair after sales service head of my local boutique. I'm so bad with words, but anyway, you get who I'm talking about. And so she told me that basically, yeah, the condition of the bag is too good, and so I need to basically wear it out a little bit more so that then it makes sense for them to repair it, which for my ears sounded absolutely ridiculous. So the bag has completely changed to a different color, but you will not repair it for me because I have taken good care of it. Is that it? And she was like, yes, you know, fully confident. Like, it sounds like it's something completely normal, you know, like, yes, we will not take care, we will not repair it because it looks too good. It doesn't have any scuff marks. And so once again, we went like back and forth because I really, at the time, as we were speaking on the phone, I could not believe what she was telling to me, you know, because it sounded so surreal. It sounded absolutely ridiculous. Like, what do you want? Do you want me to start like now scratching the bag against walls so that you would repair it? What is it that you want from me? Do you want for the bag to go completely yellow before you're going to take me seriously, you know? And this is a Chanel classic flap. So this is a bag that they are promoting the service for, you know, the Chanel et Moi service, that they will take care of your Chanel classic flaps. And so yeah, this whole experience was very confusing. And like I said before, we went back and forth a lot. And then finally she agreed to send this bag to Paris for further examination, to once again see if the leather has been faulty, like how this happened, what happened. And I agreed, and I thought, okay, maybe there is some hope, at least for this bag. And then what happened was nothing. I did not hear from this after sales customer service person for months. It was so basically, she gave me a call in January when she agreed to send the white Chanel Classic flap to Paris. I received an email. I saw that it's been sent. And then I checked in because in the Chanel app, you can actually track the progress of your repairs. And so I checked like after a few weeks and I saw that there hasn't been any progress. And then I checked, I think it was something in April when I started to get worried because basically she told me that the repair service itself is going to take 2 to 3 months, but they will not do anything to the bag before they have confirmed with me that that's what I agree with. You know, so for example, I don't know, they will give me options A, B, C, and then I will agree with option A, and that's when they're going to start the repair process with option A, with which is what I chose, you know. And so we were literally at the time point where the bag should have been already repaired and sent back to me. But instead, what had happened was that I had not heard from them at all. And it still appeared in the same stage, in the very first stage where they are examining the bag. And so finally, I really don't like to bother the essays. I know that they're busy. I know that they have a lot of repairs. You know, I really hate bothering people too much, especially when it's a repair service. But I felt like after 3 months, I had the right to start bothering them because, you know, I don't have my bag, I don't have my money, I don't know what's happening, no one's telling me anything. So finally, I messaged her and I just asked her what's happening because there haven't been any updates, not from her, not from the app. It is absolute silence. And now, guess what she responded? Nothing. It was absolute silence. Not a word for, I think it was maybe like 2 weeks. Basically, she ghosted me. At least that's what it felt like. Because usually, when they go on holiday, they change like the little um, like face emoji as on holiday or something like that, you know. So you know when they're on holiday, you know when they're out of office, you know when they're sick. And for this person, there was nothing. It was just her usual picture. And so, yeah, I felt ghosted. And now we're closing in on Chanel Coco Beach, which was something like end of April, beginning of May, which is when I went to pick up my new beautiful Chanel swimsuit. And you're probably wondering, like, why is she still spending money with these people when clearly they do not respect her? And I guess I'll just say what I always say, the heart wants what it wants. I am a little bit pathetic, but what can I do? Anyway, I digress once again. And so that's when I talked to my SA. What is happening? Because we're going into May, or it was already beginning, like already May was happening. It has been nearly 6 months that I gave you the bag. Well, not to my SA, but gave Chanel the bag, and nothing, crickets. And so that's when she told me that apparently that the customer service representative that is responsible for the after sales service and repairs, that she has been sick for the last few weeks. which, okay, fine. If she was, I will believe my essay. But she told me that now she's back and she's going to talk to her. And so then finally, after I bought my swimsuit, the next day, she finally messaged me, the customer service after sales representative, that she's going to look into it, what's happening, and basically that's it. And then 1 week later, finally, she came with a solution. So finally, after, even though I hate bothering people, I guess sometimes you just have to do it because otherwise they are not going to do anything for you. So basically, they offered me three options, three actual real options. The first option was to repair the bag. Option number two was store credit. And then option number three was a replacement Chanel Classic flap. The same size, but it can be in a different leather or a different color. So, of course, I was leaning towards option number three because option number one for me, it didn't make any sense because if I have to repair this bag once, then I'll have to repair it again and then potentially again and again and again. And after Chanel tells me, like, yeah, you have used all of your times when you can repair this bag for free with the Chanel et Moi program, I'll have to repair it on my own. So anyway, it was just too big of a hassle. So really, out of the three options, this made the least sense. And then we have option number two, which is store credit. I think that it would have been like it would have made more sense if it was actual refund that they offered, because in the end it was a faulty bag that was sold. So a refund actually would have been the more honorable thing, especially since the price of the Chanel Classic flap has risen greatly. So, do you want to hear the price for which my husband got me the small Chanel Classic flap back in 2021? It was 5,500 euros. Do you want to hear the price of a small Chanel Classic flap right now? It is 9,900 euros. So, getting store credit that you can only spend at the boutique and you cannot even buy a new Chanel Classic flap for. Once again, it just didn't really make any sense. Unless, I don't know, there was another bag that I wanted more, but I feel like I love my black Chanel Classic flap, but I also loved having a white Chanel Classic flap. So I knew that I would still love to have at least another Chanel Classic flap in my handbag collection. And so, of course, in the end, I chose option number three, especially since I could choose a different color. Because, I mean, as much as I loved white, my handbag collection has changed quite a lot since my husband got me that bag. Because at the time when he got it for me, the only white bag that I had in my handbag collection was the Fendi Baguette. And so since then, I also got the Mini Lady Dior in white. And then I also have the nano multicolor Louis Vuitton Speedy, which is not really white, but it's predominantly white. And then I also have the Dior saddlebag, which is with the newspaper print, but also it is mostly white. So I do consider it as a white bag, even though it's not like purely white. And of course, because I had all of this, negative association with white Chanel Classic flaps now that they yellow, I tried it on and it was beautiful, but I decided that probably it makes more sense to get a different color. And so that's when I started thinking, like, what other color would I even get? Because it was such a hard decision. Like, you have this chance, by the way, I had 1 year. So it wasn't like I had to choose a replacement Chanel Classic flap in like on that same day. I had 1 year to make this decision. And so, yeah, I started thinking, what color would I even go for? Because, I feel like I have a very beautiful handbag collection. I feel like I have all the colors, or at least most of the colors that I want. So, what color would I even go for? And that's when I thought of gray. And luckily for me, my essay told me that actually she can move a gray small Chanel Classic flap, like this beautiful dove gray color, the absolute most perfect gray color that you've ever seen, and that she can move it from a different boutique for me. But I just told her, just in case, send me what you already have at the boutique. And so she sent me one color that completely blew my mind. I just immediately fell in love with it, and I knew that it's the one. So, do you want to see it? Introducing the newest addition to my handbag family, a small Chanel classic flap in the most dreamy baby blue color from the spring summer 2025 collection. I know that probably the camera is not really catching the color very well. I'm going to insert some footage from the boutique, from like wherever I've taken pictures with this bag already. But this this color, as soon as I saw it, it just felt like me. It just felt like me. It was screaming my name. The only problem that I kind of had with this bag was that the one that I tried on at the boutique, it felt a little bit crooked. Like the sides of it, they looked a little bit crooked even after she removed, because sometimes the flaps can appear crooked at the boutique because they have the security alarms. In this case, she removed the security alarm and it still looked a little bit crooked. And so my lovely SA, she even took that extra step and she ordered another small Chanel classic flap in the same color from a different boutique. And yeah, and this one is perfect. It is perfectly symmetrical and it is a dream. It is my little Chanel cloud. How beautiful. So yeah, as much as I loved that gray Chanel classic flap, I just feel like this one is going to be a little bit more versatile, especially for my wardrobe. Like, look, with this vest. Actually, this is a set. So I have matching shorts, and with this bag and my dad sandals, of course, the blue dad sandals is the perfect summer outfit. I am really in love. This is such a stunning bag, and it's kind of like, for my wedding, I didn't have that something blue. So could this be like very very delayed something blue? But yeah, I mean, it is absolutely stunning. And I feel like this was a fair solution to what happened. They sold a faulty bag, they gave me a new bag. Well, my husband, but you know what I mean. And they even went that one step extra to let me choose a different color if I wanted to. But this is where I really cannot stress enough about how important it is to have a good relationship with your SA. If, of course, if it is geographically possible for you, you have to have a good relationship with your SA, because I don't think that this would have happened without my SA. I think that the best that I would have gotten is store credit, which is a little bit of a joke, because for the store credit I would have to pay, well, my husband would have to pay something like 4,000 euros extra to be able to buy another small Chanel classic flap. So it's really unfair, and it reminds me once again how crazy the prices have gotten for these bags. But yeah, so I do feel like this was a fair solution. I am happy with the result of this bag. And so if you can, definitely try to have a good relationship with your SA, because once something like this happens, they are going to be the ones that are going to be able to help you in the end, because I do think that they have some how to say, like some power, to help you, especially in these like after sales repair service stories. So if you can, please, 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 okay. The one thing that I do sometimes still wonder about is, why did it take 5 months? What were they doing for 5 months? Were they really looking at this bag? Well, not this bag, but the white Chanel classic flap. Were they really like looking at it and trying to figure out, was it her fault? Was it the factory's fault? Was it the leather's fault? Like, whose fault it was? Or did they just have it in a box and completely forgot about it? Because surely enough, after I asked the sales representative, after sales customer service person to look into it, everything happened very quickly within a week. they had a solution for me. So, what happened in those 4 months? Nobody knows. I guess we will never know. And honestly, I don't really care because, the solution that we got in the end was a good one, was a just one. But it's just interesting to think about it. So I thought I'll share it as food for thought. Anyway, so these are my two Chanel after sales repair customer experiences. And if you have any repair stories, please share them with me, especially with Chanel. If they were good, if they were bad, what happened, please spill all the tea. And then also let me know your thoughts about my experiences in the comment section below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was useful and I hope I'll see you again soon. Stay safe, everyone.